Go everyone, welcome to the Love Shovel podcast. This is episode 3. Topic for today is going to be streaming and the competition in the streaming field. From what I've been talking to some other people, they've been asking about the layout for the podcast. There's no real layout. It's pretty fluid. I just try to give it enough time for me and some buddies when we talk about this to kind of go off on our tangents. I am, I guess you could say, the host, Rage This. Then we have, as usual for the last few podcasts, Techo over here. And Obvious Ninja is tuning in for this one. He's not feeling too great, so probably won't be giving too terribly much input. I should have a little Shone popping through the podcast later. And if you are watching this, feel free to comment if you want to comment. I'll try to get to your comments in due time. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. Streaming, the streaming field and competition that's in the streaming field. So most of the podcasts that we've done and topics that we've done, Techo, have usually been oriented around what's it called? It's been more oriented around like starting from the beginning, okay, and then building up to the topic at hand. So the beginning of streaming, that's a little difficult to talk about. What do you think, Techo?
Like in terms of where it started or how it started? I don't even know, to be honest. I think I got into streaming like a little bit later. Got into streaming when I was like Black Ops 1 came out, and I think that's a little bit after everybody.
Okay. Okay.
What about you?
To be honest, 3 years ago is when I started looking into streaming, and then after that, I kind of pushed it out till recently. I believe I started really getting into streaming at probably a little bit previous to December itself, and then pushed on to a more concrete schedule currently, which apparently my stream supposedly starts at 9 p.m. now, so I gotta adjust the times on that shit because the clock went forward an hour recently. Fuck me.
It did.
Yeah, dude, there goes an hour of sleep. So with that being said and done, man, it's not a matter of when you started streaming. Let's just say, okay, let's take it back to when you said you started streaming. When you started streaming, how was the experience?
Honestly, it was a great learning experience. I already kind of like photography. I like videography. I like those kind of creative things, and I was really good at video games before. I got an Elgato just because that was like the thing that you would get to go ahead and start streaming on console, played on like PlayStation, Xbox, and it was a really fun experience. It was kind of like really cool to share it with friends.
Okay.
A lot of times I would have different friend groups that like certain people I would play with, certain people I wouldn't get a chance to play with, and people that I didn't get a chance to play with would kind of watch the stream, watch the video afterwards.
Okay.
And now all that is gone. I kind of took down everything because I don't know, just fell out of it, but it was fun. It's a great experience to create.
What platform were you using? Like what? Not platform or console, but what platform were you using to stream on at the time?
To stream on. So at first, we were trying to do YouTube videos.
Okay.
There was a couple of apps that like aren't around anymore. Not apps, but
like websites
around anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
Websites that just never launched off, I guess, but were just useful at the time within the platform. And then when Twitch really got popular and they first kind of changed their name, that's when it started working out really well. And I kind of went on Twitch and used to stream there for a little while. Streamed Skyrim for a long time too.
Okay.
For whatever reason, that was just like really fun for people to watch. Yeah. Even though it's a single player game, you're not doing much. That's pretty much it, honestly.
Okay, and the platforms that you said that you used to stream on that are now no longer existent, what are they? What were they?
I don't even know, to be honest. Let me pull something on.
Was it the Mixer platform before Microsoft changed it to Mixer?
It might have been, to be honest.
Because I know I've talked to some people about that, and they've said that that Microsoft changed their platform from I forgot what the name was, but they changed it to Mixer, and then Mixer has been now what they call their streaming platform. Like that's their version of Twitch, basically.
Yeah, no, I definitely know that like some of those platforms just switched. Like they changed. It might have been Mixer before Mixer, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
But, like at this point, I don't even know. I never like really cared too much. It was more like a friend group thing.
Okay.
Until Twitch came around, which was when I was kind of more sharing to the public, if that makes sense. I'm actually streaming for people instead of streaming for just like friends and hanging out with people that I know.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Can I get an invite?
Yeah.
Just sitting at the lobby of Golf with Friends.
So, okay, and then, I've noticed. Okay, so I guess you could say your brain is the easiest to pick right now because you're the only real one here to talk to about this that does streaming besides myself, and I have my own inputs. But for you, when you were streaming, was it more you were networking? You were networking as you were playing and talking to them in game, and then they would be like, "Oh, you stream? Oh, okay, cool. What is it? Let me check it out." And then they kind of friended you, and then started watching at that point, or what was it?
For me personally, a lot of it was just we did a lot of YouTube videos. I don't know if like you remember that whole era of just. Like,
oh yeah. I remember that, dude. Like Red versus Blue and all that other shit.
Yeah. Like around that time, literally, we had so many videos just coming out for like the littlest things, like spawn trapping, for example. In Call of Duty, that was huge, where you could just hold certain positions and you could see several spawns at the same time. You just literally kill people like crazy. And that was like really fun. That was just like a video that we did with my friends. We enjoyed the hell out of that. That was really cool.
Okay.
And around that time, a lot of people were looking that stuff up and then sharing it to other people. Right, so it just kind of grew on its own without us really having to promote it. But we had also like good standing in terms of ratings, where we were, stuff like that. Like we were a very strong team that I played with. Like the guys that I played with would just be dominating every lobby we would go into.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of the big faces that people might know from Call of Duty, like that do like 360 sniper kills and all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
We would just dominate those teams. So it would be like, you know what I mean? The people who made money from that, and we were just playing and having fun, dominating those big teams. So that kind of gave us some fame as well for a little while.
There you go.
And then I guess we all fell off, moved on with our lives, did other things, and we are.
Okay, fair enough. Welcome, Lil Sean.
Thank you.
Oh, what's up? What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good.
We ended up winning that game of Apex.
Nice.
And then we won.
Yeah, no worries, dude. I mean, you didn't have to show up if you didn't want to, man.
No, I told you it was a good time.
But yeah, dude. So how about you? Like, when did you start streaming, Lil Sean?
So for me, it was kind of one of those things. It's like I've always watched other people play video games. It's like one of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah.
Since probably like 10 or 11 years now doing that.
Okay.
And I was in between jobs. I used to have a job doing like low voltage electrical work. Long story short, the company ran out of work. I was just in between jobs, and my buddy Caleb's like, "Hey man, you've always wanted to do this," so it kind of gave me that like active push of like, "Why aren't you?" And so I did. I started picking up like a small following, and it was just like I play the games anyway, and it was one of those realizations. It's like, why not just be live? And I love it. Glad I'd started.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so when did you start?
That was in October.
Oh, okay, so more recent then.
Yeah, not like a long time ago or anything like that. I've been watching streams forever, but like finally started getting into streaming back in October.
Nice, man.
Nice.
So has your experience been so far in terms of like, I guess, growing and actually building uh, a continuous following, if that makes sense? And what do you like about that?
So January was definitely my best month. It was the month where like it didn't matter if I was working 8 9 hours a day, I'd still come home and stream. Like pretty close to I think I hit 28 out of 31 days in January that I
Oh,
streamed.
snap.
So that
Nice.
was cool. That was where like my commitment was the best. I
Okay.
think I gained 115 followers in the month of January.
Wow, dude.
Like I was sleeping like 3 hours a night. It definitely wasn't maintainable. If February came around and like I was nowhere near that level of productivity, and then now that March is back, I'm glad to like be streaming close to every day.
Nice, man.
Okay.
It's awesome.
All right. What do you think? I guess you could say, not to make this a self-help thing, because it's really not. It's just kind of the bullshit. But what do you think contributes to the potential success of a streamer since you've been watching it for so long?
Yeah, so definitely being a new streamer, the two biggest things in my opinion are both consistency and network. If you stream all the time and you stream with your friends that you're constantly playing games with and you don't really reach outside of that, it's hard to get that authentic growth. Like it'll happen, random people will come through, but it's definitely the consistency of being up and then like outwardly reaching towards other channels to like either collaborate with or just like, hey, I'm a cool community member over here. Maybe sometimes stop by my place.
Okay.
That's been my philosophy with it.
Okay, and then having been watching it at I guess you could say, not during the conception of streaming per se, but watching it, do you like, because you were telling me you were watching like pretty steady for what, like 7 years prior to actually starting up?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think my Twitch account dates back like 7 years and 6 months ago or something like that.
Okay, and then looking at it back 7 years and 6 months or however long ago during the conception of you watching it, because to be completely honest, I mean, I was back 7 years ago. I mean, it was YouTube. I didn't touch Twitch, and I'm not saying that I didn't like it. It's not saying that I don't like the streaming aspect, but the videos were there. You could pause them and all this other stuff, and it just made it easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at it back then, at like some of the people that you used to watch, what made them grow, do you think?
So I guess back then when I watched entertainment streamers, they were there, but it was more so I was watching like competitive play, and that's
Okay.
what, like live were. So back then I would watch YouTube for like my entertainers,
Yeah.
and Twitch for like competitive play. Now there's that crossover to where either platform could really have both,
That's
Yeah.
very true, yeah.
And I've noticed that when it comes to a competitive aspect between streaming platforms like Twitch and YouTube and Mixer and all these other things, there's a really interesting line that's kind of like drawn between them before you can, I guess you could say, monetize in any regard. Like YouTube is, you have to hit like 1K followers, and I know Twitch is like, a certain viewer mixed with they have their, they have their milestones that you need to reach as well, which are a lot lower. And I've noticed, as an overall whole, a lot more people when it comes to streaming tend to gravitate towards Twitch because of the lower requirements. What do you think?
I think the low requirements are kind of interesting because it's funny. You hit this milestone towards like, hey, my channel could be monetized now, and that's really cool to you as like said streamer. But realistically, like if you have 50 followers and 3 average viewers, sure you qualify, but I don't really think you're in a position to make money on Twitch at that point. Like,
Okay.
You don't have the audience, so like YouTube making you wait. It kind of sucks that you aren't making that money while you wait. But once you have 1,000 followers or subscribers, you're kind of at like a growing channel point. You've proven to yourself that like you can grow this. It's kind of cool. Twitch
Yeah,
is
that's
like,
very true.
I was just gonna say Twitch, when you're so small, it's hard to get discovered. But sure, you're affiliate, but you've also limited yourself now to where you're only on Twitch, and I think that's like a weird duality. Yes, you can make money, but really you're so small that it's gonna be hard, and now you're stuck.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
Then what about when you have those like the other newer, I guess you could say younger platform that's out there, like what me and you had a large discussion at one night was Caffeine.
Yeah. So I think options are good. I'd say right now that if I started over and like today was my first day streaming, I would probably just do it kind of how you guys have been and like just be on every platform possible.
I've actually gone away from that recently.
Have you?
Yeah, I noticed that when it came to a viewer base, I was actually getting more consistent random viewers on YouTube when it came to a live stream. And Twitch is just, at least on a starting platform, is just so difficult to maintain that consistent viewer base until you do like what you said, which is start networking out and finding those other people. If someone was to say like with the competitiveness in some of these in the competitive nature of what is streaming as a whole, what do you think would be a way to go about it for someone like starting up now versus who doesn't necessarily understand some of the aspects of networking?
I'd say one of the biggest things, you can't just jump into streaming playing the most popular games that are on Twitch right now.
Oh, of course.
You've all been there. Like if you click Fortnite or Apex Legends and you just scroll, it is pages and pages and pages until you come upon like a 3-0 person stream.
Oh yeah, I mean I've noticed like because there's quite a few websites that are devoted to like analytics in regard to that, and some of the analytics I've noticed are basically showing like it'll say like Apex Legends has 500,000 to 1 million viewers total, but it's obviously you also are competing with thousands upon thousands of streamers who are also streaming it, and that's not counting the community base that they've already set up for themselves with their viewers who constantly tune in on a regular basis. So now you have 250,000 to 500,000 viewers who you already know that, I mean, like Shroud, when Shroud streams, that's one streamer that's getting easily 20,000 viewers out of that chunk.
Oh, definitely.
And then you get some of the, I'm not going to say lower end, but then you get some of the other veteran streamers who are even getting like a steady 600 viewers out of that chunk.
Yeah, you'll have Shroud streaming. He'll usually pull, when he's playing Apex right now, it's like 40 to 80,000 people, something crazy like that. And he'll have Skadoodle on his team. And, Skadoodle's doing fine for himself, but he'll be at like 2K in comparison on the same team as Shroud.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that, and I feel like, especially with how some of the analytics are set up, it does make it a lot more difficult for, say, someone who is how do I put it? It makes it a lot more difficult, and the game is starting to change now. Even like prime example, there's a streamer who I'm not going to say his name just for the sake of anonymity, but there's a streamer recently who went from like getting, I don't know, like maybe a few hundred viewers to now he's getting like a few thousand viewers, all off of like something that is kind of almost like scandalous, so to speak. It's like I mean, I don't want to rate it or rank it to what I'm about to, but it's almost like like Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian wasn't really on the map until she made that sex tape, and that's what kind of blew her name up. And I mean, she was on there, but she wasn't up to the point of like having her own TV show or apps or anything like that. And now she is up there because of that. And then you have this guy who I'm talking about, and created like a different kind of scandal, so to speak, that got people talking. And then now his name is starting to become more commonly used under the guise of the scandal that happened.
So you're saying it was kind of like one of those any publicity is good publicity? He had something
Yeah.
negative happen, but just like it got his name out there, now he's grown.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the other things about streaming. There is this randomness to it, and it's like you can be on that lucky end if you just happen to be there at the right time, right place, and get a hold of it. But
Yeah.
like it just passes you over. I think for sure luck and random huge part.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that's just that guy. He his name got out there, and if he used it in any sort of way that got him bigger, that's just props, I guess. I don't know what the scandal was exactly, so like I don't want to give this guy like props for doing something like terrible.
Right. Right.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Disclaimer there.
Yeah. Before like I agree to whatever he's done, but I mean like if something happened and it like got his name out there, like that's part of the random.
Yeah, and I've noticed that. I've also noticed like there's other avenues that you could take to broadcasting yourself out there. Like my whole thought process is, you know, like what most people say when they're doing these like tutorials for people who, you know, you can YouTube tutorials at how to start streaming and like tips on streaming and all this other stuff. And one of the more common thing I've noticed on there is one, set a schedule and hold to it, and two, it would also be like, how do I put it? God, I'm trying to think about it. It would also be not just putting yourself out there on a schedule, but just somehow, you know, being able to have contact with people. You know, like I'm not a fan of the whole, you know, you put your putting like TTV in your name. That's just not me. I mean, more power to you. It is free advertisement.
Everybody is TTV.
Well, whether it's not just TTV, I mean, you got the other people who use like Douyu TV and, you know, all that other stuff. And Douyu TV, if I'm correct, is the Chinese platform or Asian platform for streaming. And
I've seen a lot more Panda TV, but I think it also depends on the game.
Yeah, I think it depends on the game too. But would you say, Lil Sean, that or Techo even, that social media plays like a huge role in it, or is social media starting to die in regard to it? Like if you're not big already, like does that really put you out there for someone, say, who doesn't use social media to all of a sudden just create one to try and advertise themselves?
So I use social media as far as like a Twitter and an Instagram for my stream, but like barely. I don't think my channel's big enough to where like if I'm tweeting out, oh, I'll be live at this time, to where the actual people that follow me from stream are there yet.
Yeah.
So like I do it just kind of like in practice for it, but right now I don't think it actually does. I'd say the TTV thing though, however, it does. Back when I was playing Fortnite, Rocket League, or even Apex, like I put it in there, and
oh, you're one of them.
I am one. Shameless. No shame at all. Cascade's over here in my chat saying exposed when you guys said that. But it definitely works. You'll get people that come through. And even if it's a 50-50 split of like some of the time they're just toxic, like, oh, you were trash in that game, whatever, but like they came through. And then some of the time they come through like, hey, GG, man, and like they hang out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think in terms of social media, because you know, streaming is a business at the end of the day. You can definitely utilize it, right? But like Shonen was saying, it's growing that streaming, but also being a part of the community, right? What I like when you said that like you're part of other people's stream communities, and then you are allowed to therefore ask for people to visit your community stream, whatever, because you've already added value there.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So like social media is the same way, where you have to add value to people so that then they in turn return that value in being a follower, viewer, blah, blah, blah.
God, that's so difficult for me because I'm just a fucking asshole. So it's like when I want to comment on these things, I just want to like come in, and my comments are usually wanting to be like almost on a negative scope, where they'll be like, well, what about, but since I don't have this social mob of a following, I'll say something and then just get slapped, you know? Like it really sucks because I'll come in, I'll make a valid point based on facts, and then they'll just sit there going, no, you're wrong, you're a bitch, I don't give a shit about you. You know, and I'll just be like, nah, bro, like you can have your tens of millions of followers and all this stuff. But if facts are facts, facts are facts. But it seems like social media as a whole has gone away from that.
Yeah, I mean, you take it with a grain of salt, right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say social media is one of those things that was like even before I streamed, I barely used. You know, I never
Yeah.
tweeted like, "Hey, I'm at Chipotle eating this burrito" for whoever cared about it.
Yeah.
None of that was really going on. And then like my Instagram, I think I'll post a couple different times a year. Usually it's just like, oh, I have a girlfriend at this stage. Yeah, no, honestly, that's what it is. Like I'll post I got a new car, like me and my girlfriend did something, or like that here and there. But it's not something I utilize a lot, and it's big. I just never fully grasped or understood like why people are throwing all this stuff out there.
Well, same here. I mean, I've always seen social media as a whole more of a way to get attention, for lack of a better phrase, for attention whores. You know, that's what it's always felt like, because you get these people who are like, oh, I'm going to post this, and then I got so many likes, and it's like, but who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares, like, you know, about the happiness you're having, or the fact that, you know, you're eating this good burrito. I mean, I guess in regard to Chipotle, you know, that's free advertisement, but as a whole, like, you know, I just didn't really see the purpose in social media, because I always thought social media was more a way to keep in touch with people and actually have contact with people that, you know, you like, say I moved to a different state, and then all of a sudden, you know, my buddies are back where we grew up, and this is how we can keep in touch. Like, let's even take it back a little bit further, which I don't know if you guys were ever part of, but like MySpace back in the day, before it took a giant shit. MySpace, you know, I tried to keep in touch with friends on MySpace, and most of them were all just like, you know that they get on almost every day, but they don't really give a shit about like anything else, what's going on, because they're going to post something every day, but they're not necessarily going to hit you up or anything like that. Same thing with Facebook. I mean, I've noticed parents are you know, like my dad uses Facebook, and he uses Facebook for what I feel Facebook is actually for.
I think they started out as a social interaction tool. Now it's just another term of media, and more, it's all entertainment. So like, if you're a big Twitch streamer and like you post your content on there, you know, it's like another way to plug your YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah, and I've noticed that, like, it's almost become kind of an advertising site, so to speak.
It left people, and it's becoming more corporate.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Now
Then would you say the same thing about Instagram and Twitter and all other forms, pretty much forms of social media? I mean, even Snapchat. You won't necessarily have to send something out to someone, but then you'll, you know, all of a sudden you're just seeing that someone's just almost like Facebook posting something on their storyline for everyone to look at and view.
Yeah, I'd say it's mostly the same with all of them. Snapchat's one of the few that like I actually use to keep up with some friends. If you meet somebody and you don't get their phone number, however weird that is, but I'll get their Snapchat often enough. So like, for some people, I only communicate through on Snapchat right now.
I think it also, at that point, if you're gonna talk about social media platforms, it's gonna depend on age groups.
Yeah, that's true. Like,
That's
me,
where it
like,
breaks
I'm all on
down.
Instagram now.
Yeah.
And, like,
Well,
I don't know why I would use Snapchat. Like, that's a great point, obvious. Like, legitimately, it's all about age groups. I moved on from Facebook to Instagram, and I stayed at Instagram. And I think it's because of the age group that I'm in, or at least the social environment I'm in. That's the connection. The same way Lil Shonen is not taking a number, but taking the Snapchat. I usually do that with Instagram.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, okay, and then let's go back to Twitch with a recent statistic that I read, and this was a couple months ago, but a recent statistic that I read on Twitch was Twitch themselves have what was it? Like, they showed that 1 month they had 3.2 million people sign up for an account. And of course, there's going to be a percentage of it that are only going to be viewers. There's going to be a percentage that are, you know, people wanting to change their name or their stream, and they don't want to go about it with what it is. Like, they want to start over from a different angle, as you know, as well as new streamers. But like, how do you guys feel that affects the competition there is in streaming?
I mean, if 3.2 million accounts are made, I'd be
But
curious to see.
that's 1 month. I'm gonna assume that there are a fair amount of also duplicates in a sense.
I don't doubt that, but I mean, it's statistically speaking, there is. But in looking at that number and then thinking about Twitch as large of a streaming platform that it is, like, how do you think that affects? How do you think that affects people that are trying to start streaming?
I honestly think at that point it increases the competition to where if your stream doesn't look good, like just on the basics, like if you have a brand new streamer and their setup's real jank, you know, they got a real bad microphone, their gameplay capture looks terrible or whatever, but like they just wanted to be streaming, so they're doing it, that's one thing. But if you make your stream looks quality, and let's say you're up against somebody else with 3 views, you have 3 views, they have 3 views, but your stream looks good, you should be able to climb ahead based off that. Like if you have a good personality like most people do on Twitch, at that point, it's just like a battle of quality, I think.
Okay.
That makes sense, yeah. I think the majority of those people signing up are just viewers that are coming from YouTube. Because I have a very good feeling that a lot of people haven't found out about Twitch until recently, when it started getting bigger and when YouTube started taking a dive, essentially. So I think a lot of those people are just transfers from YouTube, of just continuous watchers and things like that are just now doing it on Twitch. So I don't think it necessarily affects the competition, but creates more viewership.
Okay.
I think the interesting thing to pull from it would be to how many Twitch like streamers there are versus how many Twitch accounts there are.
Yeah, and that, I don't know if that information actually is existent, because if someone streams for a couple minutes, I'm pretty sure they're going to, you know, put out there that this person is a streamer.
Do you guys remember your very first stream?
Yeah, actually, I do. And it was, I mean, the quality of my stream, I want to say, was about the same that it is right now, because I spent a lot more time in making sure that I met a certain quality level before I started. I just didn't want to just go out there and shamelessly plug myself with like the shittiest equipment, or not even just equipment, but like quality that you're going to be viewing.
Yeah.
And that was me, but that's more my mindset in regard to it.
A good way to go about it. So I have two different my first streams, if you will. I remember my first stream, technically. It was that 7 years ago when I created my Twitch account. I was playing Battlefield 3 on my PlayStation 3, and I was using my phone camera as my like capture device for my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like, yeah, you know, that was like a long time ago. So like I didn't have a PC that was capable of like doing it all. So I remember being there. Then even back in October when I started, I didn't have like a banner around my webcam. I didn't have themes. I didn't have notifications and all that set up. I just knew that I wanted to start streaming, build it from there, and like gradually got better. But it's like now I think you're at a point to where like you got to keep your game up as you go. Like if your stream gets better, bigger, you should upgrade the feature.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. But okay, so then on a different level, when it comes to Twitch, I want to say the majority of viewers on Twitch are usually from there's a lot of different nations that use it, but I've also noticed, like, at least late night when I've streamed, I've seen the best outcomes from like Middle Eastern nations, you know, or even for that matter, you know, I've noticed that I've had a viewer from Holland, and I have a few viewers from Holland. I think one from Sweden, one from, you know, and they all found me out from YouTube. And that's where they started watching me, was on YouTube. And luckily enough, they liked the content that I put out. So when I told them I was going to try and dedicate myself only to Twitch, Then I pulled them over to Twitch, and that's what helped me in regard to that. But what's your take on that in the sense that other nations are using different platforms, like the two majors being Twitch and YouTube right now?
That's definitely like a part of like schedule's gonna pull into it. Like I do super late night streams pretty much the same times you do.
Yeah.
And most of mine would probably be American, but then like I had Lachlan, you guys all met for a while from like Indonesia.
Yeah.
Just the hours you stream, you know, you're gonna catch a different group of people. I think as a small streamer though, you have that advantage though in the late night hours because your competition's smaller. All the big streamers are usually off when we're on. There's less viewers, but there's also less streamers.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I feel that there is a better chance to get a viewer base at night just because of what you were saying, you know, with there being less competition, so to speak, or more people that are just kind of, for lack of a better phrase, trolling. Like, you know, they just go in there just to look, you know, to check people out or want to have late night conversations with someone or something, you know.
I think there's a real camaraderie in that though, like people that are working that late night shift and they get out and they're looking for a group of people to hang out with at this hour because it's not your everyday folk that's up like late hour. So it's like to find a channel where they can commit to and like get along with. I think that's like a key value to have.
Okay.
It's a strength, I would say, being a small streamer at that late night stage.
I like that. I like that you took a positive route to it.
Yeah. So like what are your most successful streams you've ever had?
To be honest, the most successful random viewers popping in, ironically, even though everything I've read some articles about what I'm about to tell you dying, but has honestly been off of Periscope.
Periscope, like the Twitter live streaming thing?
Yeah, it's kind of basically it has been on Periscope because I'll broadcast on Periscope and no one will say anything, but they'll pop in, and the most random, I guess you could say, hits that I've gotten from people just swinging through to talk has been on Periscope, or not to talk, but like to view has been on Periscope.
So for me, the best streams I've had, it was in those really late night hours, but then it was on smaller games. I want to say for like 2 weeks, I was playing this game called Creative Destruction.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it's like a super jank, like knockoff Fortnite. Honestly, not a great game. Didn't have the best time playing it, but like I was playing with some friends, and like everybody was a bot back playing it. Pretty
much. I mean, I played it a few days, and I've noticed something similar where I was playing like Crossout or War Thunder, but primarily Crossout, and I would have on that game alone, like when it came to YouTube and Twitch, I'd have more people coming in and, you know, saying stuff, and, you know, but I myself don't want to be that streamer who is stuck on one thing.
Oh, and I definitely don't think you should be. I was just getting to the point to where it's like when I was streaming those games, I want to say there was like maybe 50 to 60 people streaming it, but I hit the #1 spot playing Creative Destruction for like a whole week straight. That was
wow, dude.
Yeah, the #1 spot on Twitch. And then the second most popular game that I'd ever streamed, it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. For about 2 weeks, I was holding like a steady 20 people playing that game.
Wow.
Nice.
So that was like the most success I'd had in it. And it was kind of those like one-off niche games, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey being more popular than Creative Destruction.
Yeah.
As far as like Twitch goes, it's not a banger of a game, you know.
Okay.
So now that I'm at a point to where I'm less consistent with how I've been streaming, I've been playing more small games whenever I do play, trying to.
Yeah, I've noticed that one of the better things when it comes to being a streamer and competing with other streamers is playing that game that has been around for a while and you know, most people have kind of moved on from, because then there's still that base where, you know, you'll have some of the other people playing it or actively seeking out people who are playing it and streaming it. Like another one is Warframe. You know, Warframe has been around for quite a few years now. I think it's been around for what, like 4 to 5 years. and in it being around for 4 to 5 years, it has allowed itself for an interesting, community. But in it being an interesting community, it also has a lot of dedicated people who, don't mind showing up.
That was kind of the cool thing I saw when you and Crazy were playing that game. There's a nice community with that game that they don't mind to be that older brother role. Like they'll teach you how to play the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of, they're playing the game solo, but they'll watch streams of it to feel like they're playing with other people. I know you can squat up in that game, but even still, like if they're at vastly different parts of the game, it still connects with other, gives them that community.
Yeah, I mean it's a good community as a whole. I mean, I like the community for it. But then it comes down to like what we were talking about earlier, when you're playing some of these lesser played games or not as largely streamed games, the other problem that you have in regard to that is now your viewer base is only really showing up for that game. And I've noticed that. Like, what do you feel? Have you had the same experience from seeing a lot of popularity from Creative Destruction and from like even Rocket League or what else, or Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Have you noticed that like you had this kind of large following at that point, and then it kind of diminished once you started going towards other games?
So it depends. You'll pick up a couple community members that are just glad to be in your stream. They're there for you, and that's kind of that's the audience you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the one you always hit, but it's the one you want. So
Yeah.
when I was playing Creative Destruction, I knew this wasn't going to be the game that I'm dedicating my Twitch channel. I'm a creative.
Yeah.
But like it got some people, and they still come around at this point. So I've met some nice people that way. Odyssey's brought a lot of regulars through. They don't really care what game I'm playing. They'll
Yeah.
ask me to play Odyssey when I'm not playing it, and I won't. I don't ever take requests like that usually, unless I rage and like get mad at my game.
Yeah.
Rocket League, I would say, has been the best. Like of all the people that I've had come through my channel, when they come through Rocket League, they're more so the group that stay.
Okay. So you can't really tone it down to I guess you could say a statistic on the average amount in that community that show up for that game that actually stick around for you.
I'd say that when I started streaming, a lot of it was Rocket League, and maybe 15% or less come back. But like when I was only doing Rocket League, they were there all the time.
Nice. That makes sense.
Because I think right now I'm at like 330 followers or something like that. And when I started out, it was a lot of Rocket League. I had a couple great streams of Rocket League back then.
Okay.
Some of those people haven't been back since, and then some of them, they'll randomly every 2-3 weeks pop through like, "Hey, what's up, bro?"
Okay. So what about your because myself, like when I'm streaming, I'll usually get like a few people, and kind of like what you were talking about, work schedules and everything else like that. I notice in me leaving a multi-streaming platform, or simul-streaming as they call it, like Restream, there's Caster, there's there's quite a few. There's about 3 or 4 of them that I know. And in leaving that, I've noticed that I have unfortunately also pushed away some of my viewership because they were watching, say, from like work even. There's one guy who, if I was streaming Warframe, he would always come by and he would give advice and everything else like that. But the moment I stopped streaming Warframe, and obviously I'm not on YouTube, because he was telling me that the firewall at work only allows him to see YouTube. So is that something to take under consideration, or should it just be kind of like that whole mentality where it's like you do you?
I think going straight in and only streaming on Twitch, you definitely limit. There's only so many people watching on Twitch. You'll get the people that watch. I think that like I said earlier, if I started over right now, I'd probably do the multi-stream thing until I had like a steady 50 average viewers. Yeah, if you had a huge following and then you switch to just one platform, I think that's
They
the way
will
to do it.
follow. Yeah, that makes more sense. Like for me, just like looking if I restarted streaming, I would say I would just do it for the stream. I would do it for the community, and then monetize when it's like, no matter what I do, I could just like turn on the stream and not even be there, and people will show up. Then you start monetizing in a sense where like I've added so much value to these people, right? And it kind of goes back to that, where they will bring value back. You know
That
what I mean?
that's a great way to look at it, because, like, you know, nobody's just gonna come in your stream and be like, "Here's $50 because you're live on the internet playing video games right now. It's real hard for you, bud, and I understand. Let me take care of you." You know, they
Yeah.
like, to his points, like, they're adding value back once you've given them that
Hey,
entertainment. Like that.
ladies do it every day. Okay, they just go on, chat.
Hey, this isn't. It's not sexist, but it works out better for the female community.
Oh, I'm totally sexist about streamers. Damn it, that's the one thing that I will be sexist about. That is not fair.
Well, yeah, and the unfortunate thing is since I mean, it would be nice to have a female streamer in here to comment on this to get their point of view, because I was talking to one at one time, and I actually kind of posed that argument, and she straight up told me, she goes, "Well, I mean, yes and no," and I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And she was telling me that what really sucks is then you get a lot of the other problem is then you get a lot of like sexist viewers, you know, who are coming in there being very belligerent and discriminate toward her because she is a woman, you know, I guess you could say treating her more like an object that is being broadcasted as opposed to a personality or a professional or even for that matter, just another human being.
Oh yeah, I'm sure being a female streamer, you put up with way more shit.
Oh yeah, I mean it's I want to say it's a harder climb for a male. I guess you could say it's a harder climb for your average to be politically correct, cis male than it would be for your average cis female streamer. But then there's a plateau. There is that, you know, glass ceiling that even though male streamers push up, then it becomes where your content is oriented. You know, I was looking at this one female streamer's website, and she's got like almost 1 million followers and making money and all this other stuff. But then you look at what her content is, and it's unfortunately exploiting herself as being a female. And I don't think that's something Twitch should promote or be okay with, but yet they haven't done anything to her. And then you have your male streamer who you know, I guess you could say advertising wise for streamers in general, I've noticed that the easiest way to advertise would be going about, how do I put it? Go actually, like, you know, already being a professional gamer, so to speak. Because when you're a professional gamer, your name's being put out there already. People, there's already somewhat of a fan base, and then at that point it becomes a lot easier. And I've noticed that these professional streamers have it easier than, say, me and Lil Shone who are starting, or myself and Techo, or, you know, Joe Blow over there who's got a computer and he's like, fuck, you know, I like playing this game. Why not stream it for other people?
Cascade wants to know, what are your views on the fact that Alinity took a picture of her ass on Twitch and wasn't?
To get banned?
No, he said.
Well, was it okay? So first off, it would have to be, you'd have to question what the what's it called? What the rules are for Twitch that you technically agree to before you go live and you sign up for an account and all this other stuff. And if it says specifically in Twitch that they haven't that they have a no tolerance or whatever for this, for the sexuality aspect, then that's on the moderators for Twitch. Even though my viewpoint is everyone should be on the same level. If they can do it, then why can't a guy do it? You know, if a female streamer, a cis female streamer, can go over there and exploit her sexuality, why cannot a cis male streamer do the same? You know, that would be the real question here.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly the potential for exploiting that as a male. What are you gonna do? You gonna shake what your mama made you as a male?
Well, I was looking at it, and I was actually joking at one time about streaming. You know, because I'm noticing within at least the YouTube community, there's been a lot more videos on YouTube talking about Pornhub. Okay, a lot of these people are talking about Pornhub, and just the fact that Pornhub itself isn't what the name is. It's not just porn. I mean, people are putting up copyrighted movies on there to watch. You know, you want to watch Lion King, go to Pornhub. You can find it under a name and watch Lion King, you know, shit like that. And I was someone jumped into Crazy Animals stream who talked about they actually are streaming on Pornhub video games. And I was like, holy shit, that's like, you know, a different resource to tap into. But if you want that type of interaction, I would think that you would need to go to that type of platform that would allow that interaction. Yeah. But then I had someone in my stream and we were joking about streaming on Pornhub. And he was like, dude, instead of a face cam, it would be a dick cam. And I thought that was hilarious. So I mean, but at the same time, like what you were saying, you know, it's a different animal, you know, for say a male streamer to exploit themselves. It's like, oh, okay, well then it becomes, you know, what am I going to do to exploit myself? You know, am I just going to like show off the curves that I have and all the hair and all the weird places that women don't? You know, is that going to get me a viewership?
I don't know, man. I think, what do you think more people look for when they come to Twitch? Do you think they're looking for purely entertainment, or do you think they're looking for like high tier, like top tier gameplay? What do you think's more successful when somebody's like extremely phenomenal at a game?
Well, okay, but where is the neutral zone in this? Because that's the real question here. The neutral zone being, is this like, would they come through for someone who is streaming for the sake to stream and they're really high tier gaming, but they're just starting Twitch, or what? Like where's we got to have a neutral ground here if we're going to talk about this.
So you're talking like, what are you trying to compare it to? Because like you,
well, okay,
Shroud
like
was half the player that Shroud was. I don't think he'd be. I mean, of course he wouldn't be nearly as big. He's not an entertainer in most of his content, but he's just so damn good at the game, you know?
Yeah, but then you also have to take into consideration all these other monuments that he's been posted. His name has been posted on. You know, being on a professional esports league and team. You know, and all these other aspects, minus the marketing aspect. I want to say, if you get two people who are starting off streaming and one of them is this phenomenal player that that's aggressive and goes out there to, you know, get the most kills and he's on top of leaderboards and all this stuff, versus the guy who sits there and is hilarious to talk to and interacts with his community. I mean, is that what we're comparing to right now?
Yeah, pretty much exactly that. Which do you think's more like popular for growth?
I would say at the beginning it would be the person who has no personality, but has all this like action-packed live stream material. You know, because when you first show up to a stream, if you're like Sea of Thieves, if you get someone to pop into your stream and what you're doing is you're trying to traverse the whole fucking map to get to an outpost and sell something, I'm pretty sure some dudes aren't going to chill, you know, unless, you know, and if you're not interacting with the community, then it gets a little difficult at that point. But if you're that same exact player with that same high level of gameplay and you're playing a game that allows for that action-packed experience, then yeah, they will receive that immediate, you know, I guess you could say viewership. But the person who has the quality where they are interacting and showing emotion and having little things here and there, that person I think will have more quality in regard to a viewership and following, because those people are going to want to stick around on a more regular basis, in my opinion, for the long haul as opposed to the short haul.
Which would you rather be, the entertainer or like the top tier game?
I like bullshitting with people, so I'd rather be the entertainer. But I'm not very entertaining.
I feel like a good catch would be, you know, you unfortunately you kind of have to create a little bit of a community that follows, but you end up taking other people's opinion about, you know, what you should do next in the game, whether it be goofy and or serious, just go about doing it. Prefer the goofy, obviously. Like, yeah, hey, so say you're streaming Apex, you gotta go run around and just constantly beat people, you know, fight them with melees. That's it.
I agree.
You
Like
got a whole team
certain
running
type of
around,
achievement type stuff.
just meleeing people, whether they're winning or losing.
Yeah, it's like go in, get the buffed out armor, and just try to be sneaky as fuck or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I agree to that. You know,
back when we were playing Source, like that's all I did.
Well, because we were getting tired of the game, bro. I'm not gonna lie about that.
It was trying to do something else. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Like, someone's gonna enjoy it. Enjoy watching you goof off. In my opinion. But,
yeah, I mean,
it all depends on the type of person. There's people that want to watch a quality gamer play, and see if they can pick up the way they play and try to copy off of them or mimic them.
Yeah.
Just to get better at the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different aspects and so many different things to take into consideration when it comes to it. But I'll agree. I want to say the quality because to me, Twitch is just a live version of YouTube. If you take out the whole YouTube game streaming thing, Twitch is just YouTube but live. It's almost like watching a TV show and it goes, oh, we'll be taping this live without doing the kind of like the cuts back and forth. I think what was the show? Will and Grace did a live taping at one time, and there was some funny shit that fucking happened in that. And that episode, I think, was one of the funniest I've seen in a lot of different TV shows versus just dealing with 100% scripted stuff. And then when go ahead.
I was gonna say there's this streamer Toby on the television, and like his intro to his YouTube videos is like, this show is recorded in front of a live studio audience, and, like links his Twitch account and everything like that.
Yeah.
But his YouTube channel is just all clips of his Twitch account being done.
Oh, that's smart. That actually makes so much sense.
It's just funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, and I mean, it really depends. I mean, when it comes to Twitch and starting a stream, there, you had, to me, even Shroud, like what you're talking about, even Shroud has a personality in it, and this his personality is his, and that's what a lot of people show up for, like his shit talking and the fact that he's a high caliber player and all these other things. It's like, or let's take Dr. Disrespect. I don't know how he is in real life, but I don't doubt a lot of the reason why he acts and says and does what he does is because of that persona he created for his live stream. Yeah. Like, do you think the same?
Oh, absolutely. I love the doc. Hands down, love the doc. But yeah, definitely it's like that personality attached to each streamer. It's why people come for the live stream. If people don't care about the entertainment aspect of it, they just watch highlights,
Yeah, and you have a lot of that too.
Yeah, there's both. Definitely both. Do you personally have any like goals that you'd like to hit for your stream, and like either a time frame thing or without a time frame?
The goals that I want to hit for my stream, I mean, to be honest, my mentality, I mean, okay, let's put it this way. Before I go into mine, what was your reason for starting streaming? Because everyone has a reason.
Yeah, so I'd always, like when I was younger, I always wanted to have a YouTube gaming channel. I just didn't know how to edit videos and stuff like that. So honestly, to me, it was easier to be a streamer than it was for me go and upload and like edit YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I wanted to play games. I wanted it to be entertaining. I wanted to make content. So streaming to me made sense. I was in between jobs. So it was like the perfect timing, and that was like the motivational kick I needed. But that's why I did it. It's like I found friends through other streams, so it's like why not have the friends come to me.
Okay. What about you, Tekka? What was your reason for originally beginning streaming, even though you haven't pursued that now?
Like I was mentioning earlier, at first it started more of just sharing it with friend groups that I wasn't necessarily playing with directly. Because again, kind of had like different friend groups, different people I played with in different games, so I would just share that. And for me, it would be more about, after a while, it was more about just adding value to other people. And I like using adding value, as you can see. But after a while, I just realized, like, A lot of people, if you're in the Call of Duty community back in the day, you remember people like Woody's Gaming channel. He did a lot of just videos teaching people how to play properly. And I loved that stuff. And it helped me so much in my game where like I wanted to do something similar and maybe give my own take on it. And, kind of help people maybe with my skill level, or not necessarily people who started at zero or whatever. Right. And that's why I continued it. And that's why I did it for a while. And then, just life changed.
Okay. I guess my viewpoint was a little bit different than both of you. Was I just looked at it and I was like, fuck, I mean, gaming has always been a part of me. I've always gamed, and I just figured, hey, why not attempt to turn it into something larger, And that was my whole reason for beginning streaming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I just said, well, I'm going to play this game this day. Like, I mean, the big example I give is Neverwinter, because that's probably one of the games that I've put the most amount of hours into. And, I did that for like a year straight, didn't stream it at all. And I was just like, I'll be on there for like 8, 9, 10 hours on my off days when I was working then. And I was like, well, I could turn this into something more, I mean, when my friend logs off, I could still have someone to talk to at this point, if I started streaming, and that's kind of what I wanted it to be. So what are my goals as a streamer? To be honest, if something happens, something happens. If something doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm just figuring, hey, it's a way, kind of like what Lil Sean was saying, is like, have the friends come to you. There's some people that I've met that I've never met in real life that I met through the game itself or from streaming, who I keep in touch with. I'll share life experiences with. I'll do that in stream, and I like having conversations and interacting with people because I'm a very social individual. And I think that's what makes it a little bit tougher for some people is, they're not so social in real life, so they jump on the internet to get that social fix. Like they're antisocial, but yet they can be social on the internet.
Oh, I think for sure. Like, I mean, streaming's kind of like you're up on a stage, but like half the people that are streaming, they're really comfortable with that, but I don't think they'd be comfortable like jumping on an actual stage and being in front of people. It gives you a way to be like a focal point of entertainment without actually being out there,
Like still maintaining a level of anonymity kind of thing?
Yeah, you're in your room, You're in a very comfortable area, but like you're out there to be entertaining.
Yeah. No, I
So
understand.
you really get to showcase yourself, but in one of the most comfortable ways you can. You're playing video games, you love video games, and like it's all your environment. It's cool. It's a really cool aspect.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it's been a little over an hour by a couple minutes. I don't want to hold Lil Sean from his viewers and his stream. So thank you, Lil Sean, Obvious Ninja, Techo, for coming through, giving you guys his input on the topic of streaming, competitiveness in streams, potentially even growing your stream. If you have any questions, feel free to, if you're watching, if you're watching Lil Sean or checking this out later, check me out at twitch.tv/R4GETHIS. Jump into my Discord. There is a podcast section for chatting, and you could either drop a topic or even just ask me in general or ask anyone else here, because since I am I'm very much a do-it-yourself guy. Like I was telling Lil Sean earlier, I didn't want crappy quality when I first started, so a lot of my very first streams were very short because I was testing a lot of stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop through. Lil Sean, like I said, thank you again. And
It was a pleasure, man. It was a lot of fun. I'd like to be on it again, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, dude. Every Sunday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I try to jump on. That's when Techo's available, so I know I can get at least 2 people in here. But I mean, even I like I said, dude, I'm more of an asshole, so rants and raves are more my deal as opposed to actual, I guess you could say, funny
Open forum.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder on funny content for me. It's like I find other people's stuff more funny than myself, even though other people will find my stuff funny. I don't. so I usually don't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, or it's technical. You know, I'll be talking about technical shit. You know, it's like, oh, this is the Rage This podcast. This is how we're gonna tune up your car today. You know.
I'm
All
done.
you do is you take a hammer and you keep smashing on the what you think is the motor, and I'm pretty sure it's located on the door, and it's that little kind of reflective thingy. You can
No,
kind of
no.
see your face
The
in it.
motor is the person sitting in the driver's seat. That's the guy you hit. All right?
I'm pretty
And then
sure
he
it's
fixes
the
car.
round thing. There's 4 of them, but it's the round things on the sides.
Right.
Oh god, this
But
podcast is-
yeah, Lil Sean, man, feel free to swing through whenever you want. If you got an idea, man, pose it. I mean, I don't mind turning this into whatever, because it's really meant just to be some people that get together and bullshit. So whether
Damn light bulbs, so we don't have the brightest of ideas.
yeah,
So
Wow.
I'm
don't partake in
speaking
this
more on
really-
Teko's behalf. You know,
Wow.
I'm just saying. It's okay.
That's beautiful.
but yet again, thank you everyone. This is Rage This with the guests of Lil Sean, Obvious Ninja, and Teko. Thank you for showing up to the Love Shovel. You guys have a good night.